Hello and welcome to Mr. Hendry Does Ions and Ionic Formula. This is relevant for AQA GCSE Chemistry and GCSE Trilogy Science. So the first question is, what is an ion? And an ion is an element which has either gained or lost electrons to gain a full outer shell. And that doesn't make sense as words perhaps, so I've got a diagram here of the electron structure of sodium. Now sodium is in group 1 of the periodic table and has 11 electrons. And it would obviously form this pattern of 2 electrons in the first outer shell, then 8 and then 1. However, to gain a stable outer shell of 8 electrons, it's best to lose an electron from here to move to this ionic structure. And we draw this with these square brackets and the overall charge of the ion. Now sodium will form a 1 plus ion because we now have 11 protons in the nucleus but 10 electrons in the orbitals. So we've got an overall charge of plus 1. And this can be seen here that sodium metal will go to sodium ion plus an electron. The question I get asked a lot is, how do you work out the charge of an ion? And the easiest way to remember this is group 1 and group 2, along with all metals, will form a positive charge. And in group 1, it's a 1 plus charge, and in group 2, it is a 2 plus charge. So group 1 needs to lose 1 electron, group 2 needs to lose 2 electrons. And this would be written as Na plus. We don't put the 1 because we're lazy chemists. For example, Ca2 plus. To work out for a non-metal, for example, in group 6 or group 7, we would form a negative ion. So these elements need to gain electrons to get to their full outer shell. And in group 7, we need to gain 1 electron, so we will have an overall 1 negative charge. And in group 6, need to gain 2 electrons. And we'd write these as, for example, Cl minus or O2 minus. So oxygen is in group 6. It needs to gain 2 electrons to get a full outer shell, and it would be written as O2 minus. So what can we do with these? And one question we may get asked is to work out the ionic formula of a compound. And remember that ionic formula, it will be a compound that is a metal and a non-metal. So for example, I've got here beryllium chloride. We would have ionic bonding in this compound as well. The first thing we need to do is to find the symbols for these two elements and also find out what group they're in. So for beryllium, its symbol is Be, and it's in group 2. We've also got chlorine, Cl, and it's in group 7. From there, we need to decide which charge will go on to those ions. And remember I said that anything in group 2 will form a 2 plus charge. So we'd get beryllium 2 plus, and anything in group 7 will form a 1 negative charge. So we will get Cl minus. However, an ionic compound will have an overall neutral charge. So we need to have the same number of positives as negatives from the ions. And at the moment, if we put these together, we'd have Be2 plus, Cl minus, and this would have overall 1 plus left over. We need to get this neutral. So if we think of it like this, the Be is going to give a plus and a plus. The Cl will give a minus. What do we need to do to get that plus cancelled out? We need to add in another atom of Cl. Are these charges now balanced? Yes. So we've got this charge is now balanced. Therefore, we need to use 1 Be atom, 2 Cl atoms to get a formula of BeCl2 for beryllium chloride. As a final example, if we had the compound potassium oxide, we just do exactly the same thing. So potassium has a symbol K and is in group 1. Oxygen or oxide is from oxygen and it is in group 6. We do the same as what we did before. What charge ion will this form? It's in group 1, it's a metal, it will form a 1 plus, so we'll get K plus. Group 6 needs to gain 2 electrons to get a full outer shell, So it's going to have a 2 minus charge to give us O2 minus. To work out the formula, we've got a K plus here, and we have 2 negative charges from our oxygen. How do we get these balanced? We need to add another K plus in. Are these balanced? Yes, to give us K2O. If you need any further examples on this, please do let me know.